right, summer road trip episode 8, the road to victory, and what an interesting passage. This is Luke 24 verses 13 through 19. So I want to encourage you to take a minute to just read that. I'll try to paraphrase a little bit, but in this message, we're addressing the question: what do you do when feeling defeated? And of course, that's a part of life, right? We all go through times where we do feel defeated. We can look at the political climate in our country and the social climate in our country, see division there and feel defeated. Maybe a relationship, a marriage that's hard and you're feeling defeated instead of victorious. Things didn't work out maybe exactly how you thought they should. Finances, a career, whatever. We all deal with those feelings of defeat. So what do we do with them? And what a cool passage here in Luke 24. We see two followers of Jesus, two people who put their hope in Jesus, and they're walking from Jerusalem to Emmaus, which is 7 miles away. And this is 3 days after Jesus had been crucified on the cross. So they're walking knowing that the person they put their hope in, the person they saw as being the victor and giving them victory, they know that he was crucified and put in a tomb. And they're walking and they're feeling defeated because they had put their hope in Jesus and things weren't turning out the way they thought they would. And so what an interesting story. This figure appears to them and joins in on the discussion. Turns out this person is Jesus, but God had made it so that they couldn't recognize that it was Jesus. And basically Jesus starts to tell them how they can deal with the feeling of defeat and remember that they can have victory and that their hope is still alive. And so the points are: realize I can talk to God about my doubts and fears. Here were these two having doubts and fears, literally walking along the road to Emmaus, talking with Jesus, talking with God. And so that's always a great reminder. For me, I've learned that God doesn't always just solve my problems, and God doesn't always take away pain or confusion or doubt. But I have learned, after going through enough of them, that he is there with me, that I can talk to him about these things. And there's power in that. There's comfort in that. There's peace in that. Number 2, remember and rejoice in the promises he has made. And we see Jesus reminding the two people that he's walking with on the road to Emmaus: you foolish people, you find it so hard to believe all that the prophets wrote in the scriptures. Wasn't it clearly predicted that the Messiah would have to suffer all these things before entering into his glory? And so he reminds them, no, God made a promise. He was going to send a Messiah. The Messiah was going to be crucified on the cross, but the promise is that he would rise again on the third day. Number 3, recognizing that God is on the move. And so things may not look the way we want them to look or feel the way we want them to feel, but God has a plan. God is working. God is doing something powerful. I love this part of the passage where they're nearing their destination of Emmaus, and Jesus is acting as if he's going to go on, but they beg him and say, stay the night with us since it's getting late. So he goes home with them. They sit down to eat. He takes the bread and blesses it. And then as he does that, their eyes are opened and they realize, oh my gosh, this is Jesus that we've been walking with. And that leads you into the 4th point: reignite the fire within. Luke 24:32, they said to each other, didn't our hearts burn within us as he talked with us on the road and explained the scriptures to us? And so they didn't realize this was the 3rd day that Jesus had actually risen from the grave. And so they were discouraged and defeated, and yet God was fulfilling his promise, and they were walking with the risen Jesus. And sometimes we go through difficult times, and we just need to remember, you know what? This is hard, but I'm walking with the risen Jesus. I do have hope. God keeps his promises. And I love this point, reignite the fire within. And wow, when we get in touch with Jesus, when we get in touch with his truth, when we allow ourselves to be impacted by his words and his teaching and his presence, it really does bring us passion in life. It brings us alive, and it creates a fire within us. And so I just want to close it out today by just encouraging you to find a place to serve and find a place to live out the passion that God has put in you. The passion to tell others about Jesus, but also the gifts and abilities that he's given you to serve. And so you can plug in and you can be a part of serving in our church and serving in our community. There are so many ways you can do that at our church. And so think about that, pray about that, and let us know, because we would love to plug you in. And don't give up hope. Don't be discouraged. Don't be defeated. We are walking with a risen Savior.